That's right. There is so much good news, so much winning out of the Trump White House right now that the mainstream legacy media can't keep up with it.
Sure, here's a rewritten version of that dramatic intro with a more polished and compelling tone, while keeping the intensity and intrigue. Just when you thought the drama had peaked, boom. Karoline Leavitt has filed another lawsuit against The View, and ABC is officially in crisis mode. Whoopi's sweating. Joy Behar's furious. Sunny Hostin, for once, silent. Because this isn't just internet drama. This is lawsuit number 2, and it's a legal grenade aimed straight at the heart of the network. Behind the scenes, sources say The View's team is in emergency meetings. Sponsors are pulling out. Network execs are calling this a reputation-leveling disaster. But what exactly did Karoline drop this time? And how did a single court filing send ABC into chaos? Trust us, you'll want every explosive detail. But before we dive in, hit that like button to call out the hypocrisy, subscribe for the stories the mainstream won't touch, and share this with someone who still thinks The View is just harmless daytime banter. Already subscribed? Good. Buckle up, because this one's about to get wild. Let's roll the tape. 72 hours ago. Would you like a version tailored more for a news article, podcast script, or social media post? Absolutely. Here's a refined and gripping rewrite of that episode summary with strong narrative flow. While keeping the dramatic tone intact, you'd think that after being hit with an $800 million lawsuit, one serious enough to have Whoopi Goldberg lawyering up, the hosts of The View might take a breath, dial it back, maybe even issue a carefully worded PR statement. But no, not even close. Instead of retreating, they charge headfirst into chaos, live, on air, in front of millions. They didn't just ignore the lawsuit. They practically dared it to escalate. Karoline Leavitt became the target again. Mocked, dismissed, ridiculed. Joy Behar fired the first shot, tossing out a smug jab about Trump's Gen Z mouthpiece. The audience laughed. The panel nodded. Then Sunny Hostin took the bait, calling the lawsuit a choreographed GOP stunt. And then came Whoopi, front and center in the legal firestorm. The same Whoopi whose emotional court testimony just went viral. She grinned, adjusted her glasses, and dropped the line that lit the fuse. She's lucky we even let her on the show. Cue the applause. Cue the smirks. Cue the confidence. But what no one in that studio queued up was the legal tidal wave waiting just off stage. Because while producers saw a viral moment and the audience saw sass, Karoline's legal team saw something else. Admissible evidence. They didn't just cross the line. They torched it. Every word, every smirk, every offhand jab was time-stamped, transcribed, and added to a growing legal case that's now morphing into a media malpractice meltdown. This isn't about bruised egos anymore. It's about showing that even in the middle of an active lawsuit asterisk, the hosts of The View didn't just repeat the behavior, they amplified it. Brazenly, publicly, recklessly. And now, ABC isn't just facing another PR crisis. It's staring down the barrel of what insiders are calling lawsuit number 2. The sequel no one at the network saw come. Absolutely. Here's a rewritten version of your passage with elevated language, tighter structure, and the same intensity. Then came the thunder. A second lawsuit, filed in federal court, hit like a gavel dropped from the sky. But this wasn't just a sequel. It was a calculated strike, launched by a bolstered legal team carrying a stack of damning evidence. And this time it went far beyond defamation. This was war. Karoline Leavitt was no longer on the defensive. She was advancing, deliberate, prepared, and furious. At the heart of the new lawsuit, retaliatory defamation. In plain terms, The View was already facing legal action, and rather than exercising caution, the hosts escalated, mocking, humiliating, and publicly attacking Leavitt during an active legal dispute. The filing lays it out with brutal clarity. These weren't off-the-cuff remarks. They were, according to the complaint, deliberate character assassinations, calculated to discredit, intimidate, and retaliate. The charges: malicious repetition of defamatory claims, retaliation during ongoing litigation, intentional career sabotage, reckless disregard for truth, long-term reputational harm. No soft language. No legal hedging. Just direct, unflinching allegations aimed at the network and its highest-profile hosts. And this lawsuit isn't walking in alone. It comes armed with legal precedent. One-sided media law expert didn't mince words in the filing, calling the show's conduct a textbook case of retaliatory malice broadcast to millions. Now, with both lawsuits active, ABC finds itself not just in a PR spiral, but in a legal inferno with no clear exit. Would you like this stitched into a full article or narrative script? Here's a polished and impactful rewrite of your segment, keeping the edge and urgency intact while tightening the language and elevating the tone. At this stage, The View's legal defense is so flimsy, they'd be better off skipping the trial and asking Karoline Leavitt where to send the settlement, check or direct deposit. Brutal, but it gets worse. Karoline's legal team has gone on the offensive, enlisting expert commentary from media ethicists, constitutional scholars, and even a former federal judge. Their collective assessment, staggering disbelief. One after another, they condemned The View's on-air taunts as astonishingly ill-advised, especially for a show already entangled in a defamation lawsuit. And now, the whispers in Hollywood are growing louder. Could this be Whoopi's final season, whether she knows it or not? Inside ABC, it's not just damage control, it's full-blown disaster response. Legal alarms are blaring. PR teams are overwhelmed. Advertisers are pulling out. What they thought was the worst, the initial backslash, $800 million suit, was merely the eye of the storm. Now, Karoline's second wave has hit, and the floodwaters are rising fast. Want me to compile all these rewrites into one cohesive article or script?
Joy Behar calls her a 10. I mean, how dare she objectify a woman with this rating system, but it's such a typical thing from a 1.5.
Well said.
Absolutely. Here's a dramatic and polished rewrite of your scene, maintaining the energy while improving clarity, flow, and impact. The halls of ABC aren't just buzzing, they're blazing. According to multiple insiders, The View's studio has morphed into an emotional battleground. But here's the twist. It's not Karoline Leavitt fanning the flames. It's the very hosts who mocked her on national television, now left standing in the rubble of their own making, watching the empire crack from within. Here's how it all unraveled. Within just 48 hours of Karoline's second lawsuit dropping, the backstage atmosphere didn't just shift, it imploded. This wasn't gossip. This wasn't nerves. This was joust producers, usually the calm, clipboard-toting pros who keep the circus running, are reportedly furious. And not at Karoline, not at her lawyers, but at the talent, their own on-air stars. One longtime producer reportedly lost it during a post-show meeting, slamming a folder on the table and shouting, "This is what happens when no one listens." Staffers say the tension wasn't just palpable, it was physical, like the walls themselves were holding their breath. And can you blame them? This wasn't just one lawsuit anymore, it was two. Each one more explosive than the last. Each one threatening not just the show's reputation, but its very survival. Would you like me to continue the story from here, or combine all parts into a long-form article or script as a refined and impactful rewrite of your final section, preserving the drama and urgency while sharpening the narrative and flow? This isn't just a legal mess. It's a full-scale threat to brand credibility, audience trust, and millions in ad revenue. And then came the bombshell, a leaked internal memo, verified by two independent sources, now at the center of every hushed hallway conversation and encrypted Slack thread. The message, devastatingly clear. We asked the panel to avoid inflammatory comments on this case. They didn't listen. There it is, the entire disaster summarized in one brutal sentence. ABC didn't stumble blindly into this fallout. They saw it coming, issued warnings, and still. Joy cracked jokes, Sunny dismissed it, and Whoopi smirked her way into a second lawsuit. Now, ABC is in full-blown emergency mode. Sponsors are vanishing. Legal teams are demanding round-the-clock updates. Producers are scouring transcripts, emails, and raw footage like they're building a defense in a criminal trial. And morale? Below zero. One exhausted staffer, speaking under strict anonymity, summed it up. We used to joke about lawsuits. Now we're Googling severance packages. That dread isn't paranoia. It's reality. Insiders confirm that ABC has already frozen internal budgets, canceled development on upcoming segments, and shelved a major promo campaign tied to The View's next season. The fallout isn't coming. It's already here. Would you like me to compile all the rewritten sections into one cohesive long-form article, script, or video voiceover? Here's a powerful and polished rewrite of your latest section, preserving the intensity while improving structure, clarity, and tone, indefinitely. That's how long the fallout might last. Security has now doubled around The View's studio, not due to physical threats, but because the backlash is spreading like wildfire. Angry emails, protest tweets, furious callers flooding the switchboard, demanding firings. Even longtime viewers, the ones who once defended every segment, are turning. One viral comment summed it up perfectly. This show used to be about truth. Now it's about tearing down anyone who disagrees. Petitions calling for the resignations of Whoopi Goldberg, Joy Behar, and Sunny Kostin are gaining real momentum. And behind closed doors, ABC's board is reportedly reviewing talent contracts, an ominous sign in any media crisis. And through it all, Karoline Leavitt has said, nothing. No press tour, no tweets, no interviews. She's playing the quietest and most devastating card in the modern media war, strategic silence. And somehow that silence is roaring louder than any headline. While the view unravels in real time, Karoline stands calmly on the sidelines, watching the fallout like a slow-moving collapse. And from every angle, it looks like she's just getting started. For years, mainstream networks controlled the narrative, burying stories that didn't align with their message. For years, silence was their shield, but not this time. This isn't tabloid gossip. It's not celebrity drama. The Karoline Leavitt versus Asterisk, the View Asterisk legal inferno is too big, too viral, and too damning to ignore. And now, the one voice they tried to silence might be the only one left standing. Would you like this compiled into a full-feature, video script, or voiceover-ready monologue?
So it is the belief of this White House, or the White House counsel's office, that the president was within his executive authority to do that. He is the executive of the executive branch, and therefore he has the power to fire anyone within the executive branch that he wishes to. There's also a case that went before the Supreme Court in 2020, Scala Law LLC versus the Customs, Bureau Protection. I would advise you to look at that case, and that's the legality that this White House was running.
Strong, polished rewrite of your final section, preserving its momentum and urgency while enhancing clarity and tone. 2 federal lawsuits, filed just weeks apart, aimed squarely at a single daytime show. And the aftershocks are rattling the very foundations of daytime television, journalistic ethics, and the legal boundaries of live commentary. Even media outlets that traditionally support The View or avoid spotlighting conservative voices are being forced into the conversation. Why? Because the facts are too clear. The backlash is too loud. And the internet? It's not letting this one die quietly. Now, even the legacy press is being dragged into the storm, willing or not. Journalists at MSNBC, CNN, even the New York Times are reportedly scrambling behind the scenes, reaching out to media law experts, combing through the lawsuits, and quietly trying to catch up with a story they can no longer ignore. Because this isn't just a headline. It's not just scandal. It's about the outer edge of defamation law. It's about the abuse of media influence. And it's about the future of free speech in a digital world where every hot take lies for every own person. 2 lawsuits. 1 show. That alone is rare. But what makes this historic is the deliberate escalation, and the fact that it may redefine how far televised commentary can go before it crosses into legal territory that even free speech can't shield. Would you like me to combine all these rewrites into one full-length article or script now?